Welcome to Sit on Your Hands podcast. I'm Kev Martin, your host. Join us as we dive into the psychology of trading and finance. So, I'm a performance coach, certified at the Coactive Institute of New York City, and also accredited by the International Coaching Federation. I've also created something called the M3 Method, which is a science-based way to kickstart your day. I work with professional traders, business owners, CEOs, you name it. I work with them, artists most recently as well. So if you like this kind of content, please hit the subscribe button now. Hit the like button as well as you join us on this journey of psychology. I can see. So, Colin, an hour early. How are you, mate? Brett, afternoon, mate. Hope you're well. How's everyone doing today? There's lots of news, lots and lots of news as we get into this crazy week. Is anyone trading? Is anyone not trading? I've decided to take the week off and not trade too much. And more than likely, actually, I'm waiting for next week to really get into it. It's been a real tough couple of weeks, I must say, especially for me trading wise. So we're just waiting on our guest to join. So I'll tell you a bit about our guest actually. So today's guest is a gentleman called Stuart Williams. He is the CEO and founder of a wealth investment company, property investment company called Thelma Deakin. Stuart's actually one of my clients and that I work with every month, and I'm looking forward to him sharing with you some advice and tips on psychology in terms of investing and also, of course, trading. He does a little bit of trading as well, and I think he has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to investing. So, hey, Danny, how are you? Denny, sorry, how are you? Hope you're well. I'm just waiting for our guest to arrive. Is there any questions in the meanwhile, or what's everyone been up to? So Brett, did you do any news trading today? Colin, you were sat here an hour early. I hope you're well, mate. Yeah, just waiting on our guest to arrive and grab some coffee. Not quite Tom with the vodka, but still it's all good. It's interesting, right? One of the things that happened to me last week, I was quite sort of clear on it. But last week I was at phase 2 of one of my challenges, going really well, and I decided for some strange reason, well, I'll talk you through why, but I decided to switch my strategy. So the strategy that got me to past level 1, phase 1 of my challenge, I decided to change it, right? So I was trading on a 15-minute analysis on the 1 hour, 4 hour, and I decided to start trading on the 5-minute chart. I also decided for some strange reason to start trading news events and things like that. And I have to be really honest with you, I've actually completely messed up, and I failed phase 2. FOMO kicked in, lots of different things kicked in. It was absolutely terrible. And I just wanted to share that with you because I know a lot of you, I did share with you that I was at phase 2. Here he is.
Hey.
All right. So guys, how are you, Stu? You okay?
Very well, thank you. Very well. How are you?
Good. Look, thanks so Stuart's really busy today, right? And I wasn't sure if this was actually going to happen. So I'm really grateful for you coming on. And Stu, as you know, what we do is we talk about, the psychology behind investing and trading. And, I think, what's interesting is you do both. So I know you which you'll talk about.
I try to do both, yeah.
Yeah, and you do some trading, which you've been doing quite well at most recently. So I have introduced you. I've said you're the CEO and founder or co-founder of Thelma Deakin. Are you okay to just sort of talk a little bit about what you do, and we'll take it from there?
Sure. So I run a company called Thirlmere Deacon, as Kevin has mentioned. We're a property investment company, essentially. I've been in property now for my sins for over 2 decades, and started off as an estate agent, and wanted to get the real sort of inside track on how to buy and build a portfolio. So started off as an estate agent selling property in North London, rather nice area of North London called Crouch End, and then built my way up, and then went into investment property, and then started working directly with developers who build. We then focus on trying to find investment for their projects and their schemes to pre-fund them, to let them move on to the next projects. So that's what I've now been doing for the last 13, 14 years, and I set my own company up. Well, we're in our 6th year now, I'm pleased to say. So we're in our 6th year, my own company, working with developers that I trust, that I've vetted, that I'm happy with, that deliver. And we find investors that want to start or scale a property portfolio. And that's essentially it. So that's what I do day to day. I also sit with Kevin and look at charts, go through what I think is good analysis on trading, and I'm often wrong, but sometimes we get it right. And so I'm dabbling in a bit of trading. When you're building a portfolio, which I am doing myself, whether that's property or other asset classes, I like to try and diversify as much as I can, and I want to know as much as I can on each subject. So getting into forex trading has been something of an education.
Yeah, listen, that's fantastic. And I remember the day you called me and said, right, Kev, I'm leaving this company. He's working for a really good company. I'm leaving this company. I'm going to start a business, and I need this person to be in and that person to be in. And I was thinking, okay, let's do it. Let's go for it. And, to look back and think 6 years later, this is where you are. It's fascinating, and the growth. And I don't think we've mentioned you also have an office in Dubai.
Yeah. So we had an office here in London. We have an office in Dubai. And it's been a real journey over the 6 years. And, Kevin is a good friend of mine I've known for years, but has been with us the whole process. You've seen every all the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
At one stage, I think we had 22 staff across 3 offices. So London, Dubai, and Serbia. That then shrunk. Now we've shrunk it down to around 10 globally, to then with a view to scaling again. So we've got to go back and fix a few things that weren't particularly functioning efficiently, and we're going to scale again. So that's the process we're in at the moment.
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Stuart. And so so you're running this business, and so I mentioned, Stuart, you're one of my clients, but anyway, we'll talk about it a bit later. But you're running your business, and you've got lots going on. And tell us how you got into trading. Like, what got you into trading?
What was it? It was I think I fell for the shiny object, like a magpie. I think I was pitched something by a company about, look, have you thought about getting into forex trading? This is what we do. I'll mentor you, etc., etc. So me and my business partner, we're looking for other things to do. Okay, why don't we try and have a look at this? So we all did a Zoom call with this guy about 2 years ago, and it all sounded really easy. It was, it's you never lose. Absolutely
Lamborghini.
Never lose. We'll tell you what trades to use, and X, Y, and Z, and use these preset parameters, and there was a big community of people trading under this umbrella, which was pretty good. Actually, I've taken a few things from that I really did find inspiring, but the model that we were using and the trade ideas and the data and analysis wasn't that great. We were hitting a run rate or a win rate of about 30%. And it kind of just went onto the back burner for me, until I started talking to you, Kevin, about it properly, because it was always something that I wanted to learn how to do. And then we looked at the fundamentals, and Kevin sat down and spoke to me a bit more about the fundamentals, about what to look for, what different shapes are, what different triggers are. And then we started to understand it a little bit more. There are a few influencers that I follow that I quite like the sound of. And it's been a really interesting journey so far.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, I remember we sat and we spoke about it. Look, by all means, by no means, I'm a great, fantastic trader. But what I do like is the psychology behind it. When you're taking a trade and you sort of sit through that process, or even before you start that process. But also, working with a couple of traders, I know that from experience with those guys, what that's like. And I remember when you mentioned you were in trading and you'd spoken to this firm. That things would be a little bit different after we sat down and had that chat. So some of the clients. So if we're able just to jump in a little bit so guys, before we get any further, if you have any questions, we're going to switch up a little bit this week. So if you have any questions, we'll get to them as soon as you post it. And after Stuart and I have finished sort of talking through my question, then we will definitely sort of get into your question. So I can see Brett's just asked one, but we'll get to that in 1 second. So please just drop them in there as you can, and please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And congrats on Simply Forex for hitting over 5,000 subs, which is fantastic.
That is great.
So as we know, trading and investing could be emotionally challenging at times, right? So we know it can be, like last week I said I had passed my phase one. Fantastic, let's go. Week before last week, completely blown the account, right? FOMO, everything. I spoke to you about this. Is absolutely terrible. For your investors, or for you, whichever one you want to share, what are some of the hurdles you've had to sort of overcome, or you've seen an investor who's invested through your company in terms of that emotional side? Whichever one you want to share would be interesting just to sort of understand.
Well, I mean, every investor is different. If you don't mind it, I mean, I know property very, very well, so it's my area of expertise. So I'll probably talk a bit more about that. Every investor, what I try and do is understand what makes them tick, what they're looking for, what their goals are. But with that uncovers a lot of their emotional triggers as well. So it makes it very difficult to sort of have one size fits all. Everybody is different. So there are so many emotional factors when buying property. People, when you're buying your own home, yes, you get your heart rules your head, and you look at, this is the road I want to live on, and I need an Edwardian double fronted, etc., etc. However, when you're buying investment property, it doesn't matter. It can be on the moon as long as the numbers stack up, right?
Yeah. Okay.
If there's a demand for it, there's a return for it, and you're getting it at the right price, then it's a numbers thing. And that's one of the major factors, or one of the major hurdles that I have often, is getting people out of their heart and into their head, and looking at actual figures. Look at these figures. Do they work for you? Does it matter that it's, let's say for example, we're working with developers building a luxury apartment block. And we've got clients from Singapore and Hong Kong and that part of the world that say, I want to be on the highest floor possible because that's what we like, and blah, blah, blah. We want the best views. We're like, well, this is, you're buying something in the northwest of the UK. It's not the Bahamas. You haven't got great views at all. It's a city centre. And to be fair, the numbers are exactly the same for those guys as those guys on the ground floor. So getting them out of their emotional state is one of the major challenges that we have.
Yeah, especially like parting with their cash. I understand that.
Yeah, any investment is it triggers you, because there are there's a lot of money at stake, and you're parting with your cash. Nobody wants to lose. They want to see where they land before they jump. So it's a very difficult thing to do.
So there's a question here from Brett. So Brett's very active in the Discord, and he does some news trading strategies as well, which is interesting. And he posted it before and after in terms of what he's looking for. But he's asked there, Stuart, do you help them find the finance for the deals? It's a good question.
Yes, good question. Absolutely. Yes, we do. So from an individual investor's point of view, what we try and do at Thelma Deacon is we offer a sort of one-stop shop facility where, over the last 20 years, I've built up a network of very good solicitors that I work with, that I recommend, very good management companies that I recommend, and very good mortgage brokers that I recommend. So when an investor is looking to finance a deal, we work with some of the best in the business. So we would introduce you to, or Mr. Smith to, our preferred brokers. They get better rates than they usually than the commercial, Mr. Smith off the street would. And we give them access to our full network, and that does include good options for finance.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. Brett was also asking about. Let's have a look. Oh, hang on. Can you also have that? This is another good one. Yes, Brett's on it today.
Yeah, can also help me find the land to develop as well as just the finance. Interesting. Yes, I mean, essentially at the current state that we're in as a company, we're an agency. So we work with developers who are building. They come to us at a stage where they've bought the land, or at least exchanged on the land. They've got a plan in place, and we help them put it together and get it to the market. So essentially, we very rarely do that. We don't do sort of land deals and land acquisition. But with it, like I said, with a network that we have, there are always deals that are knocking about. So yes, there are land options available that fall onto my desk all the time, but it's not my speciality.
Okay, cool. There's another one he has about trading, but I'll jump to that in a second. So look, that's interesting. So, someone comes to you and they've got some money to invest, and you've got, you're the agent essentially for lots of different developers, trusted developers, and you run the numbers, and the person, the investor, takes their time to sort of, see if it stacks up in terms of the return on investment, essentially. Yeah. And that's investment, I'm guessing, in the UK, and there's some in Dubai?
Yes. So mainly in the UK, but we're RERA licensed, so we do sell and work with developers in Dubai as well. So I was going to say mainly in the UK. To be fair, since the summer, it's probably been about 65% Dubai based. The Dubai market is really, really hot at the moment. And wow. So there are a lot of investors, especially UK based investors, looking to put some money over there.
Yeah, interesting. Everyone with their Lamborghinis in Dubai, mate.
It's a crazy place. What I love about Dubai is the safety of it. I mean, I've got kids, Kev. We're fathers. Something that we always want to take the protection and security of your family very seriously. In Dubai, it's ridiculously safe. There's very little crime at all. I've been there. I spent a lot of time there with my family, my kids. And it's just a lovely, relaxed place to enjoy some sunshine. The market is very good. We employed some analysis very recently that suggests for the next 5 years we should see sustained growth in Dubai as well. So, wow, okay, a great place to be putting some money into.
So, just go back to trading. As you know, discipline and managing emotions, which wasn't my part of my. So I spoke to my coach about this. It's absolutely terrible, but. So when the trading that you do, some traders do struggle with the discipline and the emotional side of it. Are there any sort of strategies, or talk us through, when you enter a trade, what happens in terms of emotion, or do you have any issues with that?
I find it, it's quite exciting. It's quite a thrill, first of all, for sure. And I do find it a struggle to not sit and watch it all day long. But what I find helps is that I am busy. So if I can set something up early and then just leave it alone. What I really enjoy is when I've set something up that I'm categorically sure will work, or 60-75% sure will work. And then I forget about it for 3-4 hours. It's the nicest feeling. And then you go back in and go, oh yeah, I was right. And you have a quick look at it, you check on it again. Try to stay off it as much as I possibly can. So keeping myself busy doing my day-to-day is key, I think.
Okay, cool. So it's kind of like the set and forget. You don't tamper with
set and forget. That's the strap line from one of the influencers that I follow. I try and really try and keep my hands off it.
No, that's good. So you're not on the 5-minute chart.
No, definitely not. So I look at sort of 1, 4, and even 1 day.
Okay, No, that's good. And so you've had losses. So what has that been like? You know, or I wouldn't say setbacks because I've spoken to you about this. It's not necessarily set. So when you've had a loss or few losses, has there been anything or something similar to that where you found it a bit challenging, or any advice you can give around that in terms of your trading?
I think the most frustrating thing that I've found is not trusting my own um, initial analysis.
Yeah.
Yesterday's a perfect example. I had set a set a trade up. I think it was Euro AUD, and
Yeah, everyone was trading that, it seems. Yeah.
it was perfect. It was right for it, right? So I set it up in the morning, had a great look, fine, and it was going the way it needed to go. It dipped down a little bit, but it was going the way it needed to go. And I got a little bit anxious at around bedtime, and I closed the trade. Having read a little bit about the market and about what this week should sort of hold with regards
Yeah.
to news, etc. So I closed it. Closed it at profit, and I closed it at quite a decent profit. So I shouldn't be too upset. However, if I had have left it for 20 more minutes, it skyrocketed. It would have hit the TP that I'd originally set. And then I checked it again this morning, and it continued to go. It just continued to go.
Yeah.
So
No, so
that's
sometimes
the
it's a
most,
set and forget, but at times when you're not busy, you do potentially tamper with it.
exactly, yeah. So I was keeping an eye on it when I probably should have just left it. So I think that's the most challenging thing for me. That's the most
Yeah.
annoying thing for me. When I've had losses, it's try and minimize those as much as possible. You learn from it and go, try and avoid those where possible, of course. But sometimes you can't. What I think happens is I I rush into things. I go, oh, I'm not going to do the full analysis that I would usually do. I'll just chuck this in here, see what happens, and then you lose big time. And you go, okay, well, I won't do that again. Still do it again once a month at least.
Yeah. No, and just a couple more questions on trading, and then I want to jump back to your
Sure.
your work. But is there any sort of habits or practices that you've sort of developed to strengthen your trading psychology, or it's because to me, just quickly, it seems to me, again, when we do our work together, it's not necessarily around trading, but psychology wise around trading for you just seems to be very, very easy, and you're straightforward, easygoing. You're not too, you know, upset
Uh,
by it all.
I think it's because and I'm in a fortunate enough position that what I've got in that trading account is something I'm quite happy to lose learning. Do
Yeah.
you see what I
Okay.
mean? I'm
Yeah.
quite
Makes
happy to
sense.
learn and take a loss and take some lessons. Whereas if you're excuse me for I'm going to swear, if you're on the line, if your back's against the wall, then it could be a lot more frustrating. So I'm in a fortunate enough position that it isn't that, and I can afford to lose what I've got in there to learn the lesson. I don't want to lose it for free. I want to learn the lesson at least. So that's, I think, is
Yeah.
quite key. In terms of habits, I like to get something in and working before I start my day job.
Okay.
So have something set up by 8 o'clock in the morning, so I can then do what I do, get back to my job, and check in at lunchtime, check in later on. So keep myself busy. If I'm not in a trade now, which I'm not today, so I feel a bit naked today. I'm not actually in a trade today,
Yeah.
so I feel like I'm missing out on a few things. But
Yeah, no, you get like that. I mean, I've not traded properly. I'm doing a demo account at the moment, and yeah, it's not the same as being, training compared to the live action is completely different.
live action is
Um,
good fun.
yeah, no, it's good. I like that. You've got money in there that you're absolutely happy to lose. Well, you obviously don't want to lose it, but it's not the end of the world if you lost that cash, which is good. So that there's no stress, there's no added pressure on that.
Look, I think what I've proved to myself is that I can grow that account. So
Yeah,
if I ever went completely, if I went completely down to zero and I could chuck another 100, 200 quid in, I could flip that and flip it and turn it around over a space of a few weeks and get to an okay stage again. But it's 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 the fact that I'm happy to sort of learn with the amount that I've got in there at the moment.
Do you think you're quite an aggressive trader? Kind of some of the trades you enter, I say, Jesus, mate, that is a. And I look at the charts. Obviously, everyone trades differently, and I look at and I'm like, Stu, do you think a bit aggressive or conservative?
I think it goes back to the last answer again. I am quite aggressive with it because I want to learn the lessons, and I'm trying, and I want to see how what happens. What happens if we do this? And I double down on things where I probably should be a little bit more cautious.
Yeah.
But, I've got a book here. Look, this is interesting.
Okay.
Facing Fear 365. It's I want to do things that scare me a little bit.
Yeah. No. Okay. Okay. So, what is one bit of advice if you could give yourself if you were starting over your business again? Is there anything forgetting trading for a second? Is there one bit of advice you would give yourself over?
With my business, definitely. Yeah, there are a few things that we've learned over the years. And when you're in your sixth year and we're still going and we're thriving again, there are definitely a few lessons. I would say, honestly, be a bit harder. Be a bit harder. This is not going to be a very likable answer, actually. I think I've been a bit too soft with a few people in the team. I think I've allowed a few things to slip through where you wouldn't usually. And just you've got to think of it as every penny. Don't waste money on anything, which includes non-performing staff, includes extra ancillary bits that you don't necessarily need. So wasting money is definitely an issue with the business in its startup years, for sure. Especially when you're new, you don't really know what you need, and you don't really know how to work things. So you try a lot of things, but there are definitely things that we wasted money on.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that, because when there's lots of it, the little things seem to be irrelevant, but when there's not much of it, the small things could be the biggest things. So yeah, I think money management is definitely, whether that's trading or in business or family. Yeah, absolutely. This is a silly question. Do you have a coach or mentor? Like I said, Stuart and I work together. We've been working together for years now. And so, yeah, I am Stuart's coach, but mentor, I think you've got a mentor.
Well, I'd go a bit further than that, Kev. I would say that you've been a massive part in my journey over the last 7 years.
Very kind of you.
And I really appreciate it. And I would urge anybody who doesn't have a coach or a performance coach to look at taking one on. Find a fit that works for you. Somebody, because everybody's different, and I think we get on because we're very similar in quite a few aspects. But it's so important to be able to have somebody to talk to be able to cut out all the BS and understand what's important. So performance coach, definitely. Kev, you've been brilliant, and long may that continue. Mentor, I like to say I've got a couple of unofficial mentors. My old boss that I used to work with, I worked for him for 10 years.
Sorry about that, Stu.
That's all right. He's someone that I'm able to pick up the phone at any time to and ask him a few things, which is invaluable. There are a couple of guys that are in the industry that I am in that are 5, 10, 12 years ahead of me, that I have a very good relationship with, I'm pleased to say, and likewise they're happy to pick up the phone and answer questions with me. So it's thoroughly important to have expert advice.
Yeah, no, I think it's important, especially so trading, as you know, all running the business can be quite a lonely place, or quite at times you have things swirling around in your head. And it's important to be part of a community. But what I found is lots of people want somewhere to sort of go and talk about things that swirling around, get advice, or just, sort of get things off their chest in a safe place. So no, that's great. I love the fact that, you have some, group of people you can sort of rely on and sort of sort of get that off you. So the other question, right, is a question. This is probably the last question left from a previous guest, and Blake. So he owns a prop firm, really lovely guy, at My Flash Funding, and he asks this: do you believe the people around you are a reflection of yourself?
Yes,
I think it's a great question.
I absolutely do. I think it's if you listen to anybody successful, when they talk about how they built their empire, it's all about the people around them.
Yeah.
And there's that cliche that's your net worth is your network, stuff like that. And I think it's not just about the support. It's also about ideas. It's also about experience. Knowing, being able to call on close friends and experienced people to say, look, I'm going through this. How can you help me through? Or have you been through
absolutely.
this before? It definitely is. But then it's goal setting as well. It's aligning. It's people who've got similar aligned goals to you. If you're hanging around, street corners or whatever it is, and you're surrounding yourself with people who don't have particularly high ambitions, then you're not going to go very far. Whereas if you're putting yourself in positions where the people around you have got very high ambitions, you're going to be following those paths, I think.
Yeah, no, that's great. I definitely agree with that, and I think surrounding yourself, the people around you are a reflection of you, because what tends to happen is the people that you surround yourself by, you act like, you sort of copy each other's behaviors and so on. That's why it's really important to have a really good, just be careful of who you choose, is what I would say.
Absolutely. And that the downside of that is, unfortunately, you lose friends. You lose friends. You see people. People slip by the wayside. But it's all for the greater good. If you've got ambition and you want to go somewhere, you can't have hangers on. You can't drag people along with you. So I think it's really key to surround yourself with people that impress you. And you'll become impressive yourself.
So last question is there a question? So we have this little tradition I've saw in another podcast, which is really cool. Could you leave a question for our next guest?
Cool. Let me think. It's a simple one, really, and I hope this engages people into talking. Do you think you set big enough goals? Wow, do you think you set big enough targets?
Okay.
Because I think that's key. Because I speak to clients all the time. I speak to staff when they onboarding. I speak to people across many different walks of life about their targets, about what they're trying to achieve. And I just don't think people set big enough goals, and I don't think people realize they set big enough. They set small goals. They think just trying to chunk away is okay, but you've got to set high, beefy goals. So, do you think you set big enough goals?
Okay, that's fantastic, Stu. Look, I know you're busy. I know it was crazy. Like, the guys were asking me, "Is this guest coming on us?"
Really,
I don't know.
Sorry to have made you wait.
No, it's fine. And look, I don't think people realize how busy you are, and the fact that you've come here today just to share some of these little nuggets about trading and the business you've started over the last 6 years, how successful you've been. I really appreciate your time. Hopefully, some of our subscribers will relook at this and get some value from it, right? So listen, so just quickly, where, if anyone's interested, I know it's in the description below.
Sure.
Where can we find you on the socials? I know there's a website, but in terms of you,
so the website is, I think it's in this description. The company's called Thirlmere Deacon. And on the socials with Thirlmere Deacon, I think, and on the website it's thirlmeredeacon.com or TD Property Investment. I'm quite present on all of them. You'll be able to get me directly through the socials. We do a lot of content. This is great. I'm gonna put the BTS
You're recording this, okay? That's fine.
but you can find me through there. LinkedIn is always a good one for me as well. It's Stuart Williams at Pelmere Deacon.
All right, listen, Stu, you are a star. Thank you so much, and have a good day, mate.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers.
Appreciate the question. Cheers.